Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Simply Vita. I'm so happy you're here. Today, I'm going to be sitting down with Marci Baron. She is an energy healer. I have personally worked with her before. She's amazing. This episode is going to be a personal one for me because I feel it's dealing with things that are important to me, especially at this point in my life, but I think important to a lot of people. And it's about clearing energy blocks that may be holding us back from living our best lives and actually creating the life of our dreams. I think a lot of times we are stuck with old negative habits and patterns and maybe messages that were given to us even when we were very, very young or throughout our life that have gotten stuck within us, deep within us, and it keeps us from reaching for the stars and really believing in what we can do and our abilities. I know that I have a lot of dreams that I'm trying to achieve, and I have a lot of negative messages that run like a tape in my head. And I really feel like it's something that we all have to do work. What we've been told is not really the truth, and there are people like Marcy who are so talented and so able to have this intuitive knowledge to be able to help us work through these blocks. So I feel like it's really important that we work with people like Marcy. And I'm so blessed that she is here. And I feel really, really, really honored that she's going to sit down with me for a little bit and discuss what she does. So without further ado, let's let Marcy in.
Huh? Hello.
Marcy, how are you?
Good, sweetheart. So good to
How is
see you.
everything? It's
Good,
so
good.
good to see you.
So good to see you
You
too.
beautiful lady.
Aw, you
Yeah.
too.
I gave you, I just did a little intro, just explaining to people how the work that you do is just so wonderful and that I've worked with you once before and I'm so looking forward to working with you again. But, I wanted to first off ask you to explain a little bit about what you do and, what your gifts are and how you help people.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. So I will say that I came to this work because I needed this work. Okay. And I was in talk therapy for 20 years. I could tell you the reasons why I needed support and help and healing. And it helped me understand, like this is why, but it didn't do anything to help me heal. And, we all have our list of what we've been through, and I'm no different than that. But it wasn't until I started working with an energy healer that everything really began to move and change and heal in my body, my energy field, in my spirit, and then like really then train my mind to follow along with like, okay, wow, I feel better. And my background is in teaching. I have a dual master's in education, a bachelor's in education, and always being a curious person, a lifelong learner, I just was like, I want to learn how to do this. And not because I wanted to do it as my vocation, but as I'm interested in this, I'm curious, I love learning. And then as the universe does, it puts us in a situation where it's like, okay, what do you really want to do? And I took this leap of faith and started doing this now full time since 2012, 2013. And it's met me in a place of unbelievable expansion, opportunity, and gratitude as, again, I just keep going where I'm guided to learn. So, with that being said, what I do in answer to your question is I help women heal in body, mind, and spirit, in health, wealth, and relationships. Specifically, I've been niching towards women in business because I'm finding that's like a really fun place to play is when women are in their own business, it becomes the vehicle, the lens in which to do their spiritual work, to do their soul's work. But what I mean by that is We're all here to grow. We're all here to expand. And whatever anybody listening to this is, like whatever that part of you that is feeling pressure or stressed, or in Kabbalah it's called your tikkun, tikkun. It's your soul's correction. It's why you're here, to evolve. Okay, and everybody has it. It's whether it's a health reason. I specifically work with a lot of women around unexplained infertility, and or again, like in business, like what's preventing women in business from showing up and being visible and making the money and being aligned in their purpose through business. Relationships, which I believe you and I did some work in,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yes.
again, everybody has at least one of the lenses, and some have all of the lenses in which they're doing very specific soul work. And again, we can't think our way out of these patterns. The issues are in the tissues. It's a felt experience, and it's in like the somatic felt, which is the nervous system, and our ego, which basically is like being stuck is more comfortable than expanding, even though we want to feel better, we want to have the relationship, right? There are all these multidimensional things at play, and this is what I help women do. I help women literally move through whatever it is that they feel, this contraction, this place of, I've done all the things. What else can I do? And I raise my hand and I'm like, I can help you.
Yeah. I mean, everything that you're saying it's just resonating with me so much, but I know for sure it resonates with a lot of people. I remember, and it's always stuck in my head, the story that you had told me a long time ago about how at one point you were at a job, and correct me if I'm
Yeah,
wrong in
that's right.
remembering, and you actually went into the bathroom and you started tapping,
Yeah.
which is something. Maybe you can just
Yeah.
explain what tapping is, just
Yes.
like briefly, so our listeners can understand what that is.
Yeah, 100%. So the story is that I was working at this dead end job. I was miserable. I wasn't teaching anymore. I had my kids, but I needed to go back to work. And I was so miserable and felt like all of this despair. I couldn't stand my boss. And what tapping does, it's actually EFT, emotional freedom technique. And what it does is it uses meridians, which are the super highways of energy in traditional Chinese medicine, as well as saying what is going on, right? The frame is like, oh my God, I can't stand it here, right? But I gotta
Mm.
bring myself into a place of being able to function. What it does is it moves the energy. It lets you release, like if you will, if it's like a pressure valve, what's sitting underneath it, anxiety, the frustration. I think I was angry, I was sad. I mean, all of those I used to travel into New York, into the city. We call from Long Island, Manhattan, the city. Okay. You used to
Mhm.
travel into the city. You lived in Queens, right? You travel into the
Yeah.
city, but anyone listening, travel into the city on the Long Island Railroad, I'd be tapping all the time. People are eating, people are putting on their makeup, people are sleeping, people don't care. I was tapping because a big part of what I teach my clients, a big part of what I offer is, okay, now how do we fill in those moments when life gets overwhelming, when stuff is, shit's hitting the fan, if you will? How do I regulate to come into a place that I can be present? I can be what I call 0 point, middle of the pirate ship. You know, that pirate ship ride? People live in
Mhm.
a lot of polarity. I'm like, how do I be the best that I can be? Whether it's at work, whether it's, for my children as a citizen on this earth, there's a lot, right? So that's what EFT is. And that is what I do for myself. That is how I take care and do with my clients. I'll give you a link that we could put in the show notes. I have a free EFT video that,
Oh, that would be amazing.
yeah, that everybody can get. It's one of the tried and true techniques. It works. It works. We can't, like, sometimes we cannot talk ourselves out of anything. If we
Yep.
did, everybody would be self-actualized people.
Yep. And how do you feel? Because I know that I've been doing a lot of trying to do a lot of research on this lately about how those patterns of what you've been told when you were younger, or what those messages that are stuck in your head when you were younger
Yeah,
start to manifest as we're adults, and then actually keep us from achieving the goals that we want, or keeping us in relationships or jobs that
yeah,
aren't really our calling or our true nature. But there, does tapping and energy work help to release those negative tapes that we have in our head about ourselves, those things that we're telling ourselves that aren't really true at all?
yes. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give a little background so listeners can have a context for that. And then I
Yeah.
will tell you that 100% the work that I do does that. Does energy work within itself? I'll give you like like an understanding, and then I'll tell you exactly, okay? When we are 0 to 7, our brain waves are in theta, and theta brain waves is a meditative state. Literally, from 0 to 7, we are like blank um, recording machines, recording every single thing that's going on around us, and it's creating the hard drive of what we believe, who we are, and what we think about the world. Okay. That being said, it's through the lens of what a child needs. Now, a child needs to be accepted, connected, and loved for survival. Okay. So that is like our inherent nature. Like, I have to stay close to this person in order to be loved. And because a child at those very young ages are very egocentric, everything's about me, there is not the ability. Let's say there's a parent in the house and they're always stressed and angry and uptight. What does the child learn? The child learns they're angry at me. Ooh, they're stressed because of me. So the child then creates a belief and a I have to walk on eggshells. I have to, in order to stay safe and connected and loved, right? That's to be fed, that's to be sheltered. I've got to be this person so that when that unpredictable energy is angry or lashing out, I've got to people please. I've got to be good. When I do well, then they love me and it makes them happy. That's how it happens. So it's this
Hmm.
wiring of a nervous system response. Like, I've got to be hyper vigilant, right? I've got to be the good one in order to stay safe and loved.
Yeah.
And, if I'm good, then I'm okay. Okay. I'll give you
Yeah.
an example from my own childhood. I was 10.
Please.
Yeah, I was 10. So again, 0 to 7, but okay, you're set in that way. I had I came from, a divorced family, very volatile, very, and I remember I was standing in Montauk on the east end of Long Island. The woman who owned the beautiful boutique in our town came over. She's like, "Oh, Marci, you're so beautiful. You should model for the store." And I was like, and imagine 10, you're like fourth grade, fifth
Yeah.
grade, you're little, you're young, you're prepubescent, and she goes, "But you know what? You need to lose 10 pounds." Right. And my dad was standing there and he didn't say anything. He basically agreed with her. And I created this belief. And again, what I call the split, like not like a split, like I dissociated, like I kind of numbed out. But what I say is a split is like, I split from the truth of who I was and what I believed about myself. In that moment, I now created a belief there's something wrong with me. Now I had judgment towards my body. My dad basically, by not saying anything, agreed with her. And then later on, that kind of became his narrative, like, you need to
Mhm.
lose 10 pounds and, buy bagels and then not let me eat them or scoop them out.
Mhm.
Like, just a little not healthy, right? And therein
Mhm.
began, like you said, this belief about myself, there's something wrong with me. And how did that show up? So now the lens in which everything showed up in my life was, there's something wrong with me. All right. And
Yep.
so your question, does energy healing help that? Yes. And the way that I work is I do a lot of different modalities to address mind, body, and spirit. So, like, I do this coaching modality called rapid rewire method, where literally we're rewiring those things. Okay. I do something with energy healing where we're doing a soul retrieval, where we're going back, and I'm going back and rescuing that little 10-year-old girl who needed
Yeah.
a parent to be like,
Yep.
that's not okay.
Yeah.
That is not okay. You deserve
Yeah.
someone to go, that's not true. What are you doing talking about my daughter's body? Like, again, I
Mhm.
don't have anger or animosity towards my father that happened, but
Mhm.
the mother of a daughter, am like, mm-mm. Like, and I had to reparent myself. So that's how it works. That's how it happens. So everyone has a
Mhm.
context and everyone has a moment like that. And then
Mhm.
again, the work that I do brings those parts of ourselves that are frozen in time. Because again, it's like, this is the motherboard. If there's a piece of my energy frozen in that time, in shame, right? In that
Mhm.
low self esteem, we go back and
Mhm.
gather those parts. Yeah.
Yeah. No, go ahead, keep talking.
Yeah, no, that's it. Like, it's just as, again, through all of these years, it's like there's a part where we're carrying these old beliefs, these old stories, and there's a
Mhm.
reason, because we're trying to finish the stress response. There's a part of our consciousness that like, here's a perfect example I say to people. Okay. You're married now, right? You have,
Mhm.
right? But he's not the only person you've ever dated, like your very first
No.
boyfriend, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ye
You're,
that's a great one because my very first boyfriend to this day affected my whole,
okay.
like, it was my first I was a late starter, but my first boyfriend, not to call anybody out, but he was an abusive person. So the first person that I
Oh,
was ever with
oh,
was a mentally abusive person, and
wow.
because I was in because I was such a late starter and because going back to eating disorders, I had an extreme, which will be probably another podcast, hopefully,
Yeah.
but an extreme eating disorder. Like I was hospitalized 3 times. I almost died. Like it was a terrible
Mm,
eating disorder that started when I was 12, and so that like halted my development. So when I didn't start in actual relationship until I was like almost 22 years old, which is
okay.
and this person who was my first was an abusive person.
Wow.
And so I think that does those messages from that first person can
Yeah.
affect your whole entire life, almost like your parents' imprint, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
things that happen,
It-
or the guy or the kid in school that made fun of you, or like those people would never remember that one comment, but
You
it
do.
gets it
Yeah.
gets embedded in you,
Yeah.
right?
And that's what I'm saying. It's like, so until those things are brought out to be integrated, right? Until those things are brought out to be healed, right?
Mhm.
They still have a hold on you, right?
Yes.
But let's say, like, for you, right? Like, that's a work in progress, or maybe it's all okay now and like you're able to
Yeah.
be fully present with your husband now, right? But there are still people, right? So that had a big effect in your life, in your body, on your health. And there are some people, a lot of people who are still trying to finish the stress response. And I'll explain what that means based on the things that have impacted them, like you said.
Mhm.
So, what I mean by finishing the stress response is I always give this example because it was just so clear as day as I was witnessing it. I remember my daughter's 20 now, but when my daughter was in middle school,
Wow.
yeah, I was at her chorus concert, and one of girls at 11, years old had like a solo. And as soon as she started to sing, she like couldn't get it out. She turned bright red, tears came into her eyes. Everybody was looking, and you could hear like the gasp of the crowd, right? And I looked and I said, that's where she didn't finish the stress response. That's where
Mhm.
humiliation, okay, you could see it. And instead of having the expression of crying and whatever, it had to get suppressed. So, animals in the wild, like if a lion goes after a gazelle and it gets the gazelle by the neck, the gazelle goes limp, pretends it's dead. The lion isn't interested in dead prey. The lion leaves. What does the gazelle do? It foams at the mouth. It shakes. It has an epileptic seizure and it shakes off. It finishes the stress response and is able to return to presence. It goes back to that watering hole. It's like, okay, do, 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 do. We see our dogs do it all the time. Something,
Mhm.
my dog sees a big dog, she shakes it off, and then she's like, do, 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 I'm good, right?
Yeah.
Human beings don't do that. That moment where she was singing, she suppresses the response. Now the energy of that is living in her nervous system. The issues are in the tissues. There's an unexpressed humiliation. And that is somehow on a frequency, on an energetic, emotional signature replaying. And like I said, in this rapid rewire that I do, we release that. Humans process through thoughts, images, emotions, and body sensations. Okay. So again, there's a very safe and simple way that I take people through that. It's like, okay, let's close that loop because it's like
Mhm.
running on the computer, like open tabs,
Mhm.
right? So how does this show up? This shows up in people's relationships. It could show up in, let's say her confidence. She's only 20 now, but like getting up in front of people, right? In her business, in her
Mhm.
life, and how she will show up in her career, right?
Yeah.
You don't know how it's going to manifest, but there's some
Yep.
signal that got blocked around that. And again, maybe she was able to process it with her family. I hope she was. But
Mhm.
again, that was what I witnessed. I was like, oh, in real time. And
Mhm.
we all have examples of that in our lives.
Yeah, like the body keeps the score.
Yes, yes. That's an
Yes,
incredible, yes,
which is a great book.
yeah. It's a hard book to get
But
through, but yeah.
yeah, totally. But I feel like you're right, all that, especially throughout years, she's only 20, but if that kept building up over and over and over, like how much at a certain age would be suppressed within a person and how, first of all, you're doing God's work.
Oh,
First of all,
thank you.
it's just such amazing work that you're doing that
Thank
that's
you.
why I was so excited to sit with you because I know how important the work is that you're doing. And I also know that, you know, maybe some people will seek this work out and some people won't. But I feel like we all have our own stories and some people's stories are filled with a lot of trauma
Oh, yeah.
and it's really built up. I mean, there could be people who had perfect parents and perfect love given to them and all, and maybe they're fine. Maybe they're fine, but I know the majority of people have a lot more because like we're all humans living this experience for the first
Right.
time. Even our parents were living this experience for the first time. I think a lot of times more than not, people are carrying around a lot of trauma that is blocking them from so many different things. And how amazing would it be to have to sit with somebody like you to be taught that you can actually release that
Yeah.
and then, open up these pathways that can lead you to living a more authentic life and not trying to always put, a square peg into a round hole, which I think, uh, even for me, it's like I think it's such an important thing to try to learn, because a lot of times we're doing things, I feel like, throughout our life that really just aren't even what we're supposed to be doing. But, there could have been messages like, you're just lucky to have a job, or you're just lucky to be making money, or, can't pursue that. That's not a way that you would, make a living. And how amazing would it be, going back to your daughter, if as in school, if they can have a person
Yeah.
such as yourself working with children from the very time that they're younger, and that these things are happening, maybe somebody making fun of them or being bullied, or whatever it is, and they're working with them at that point to teach them how to release that energy, and not, like you said, have it like halted, and be more like the animals, and to teach them how to release it. I wonder what a world would look like if we were releasing trauma as we go.
Yeah.
And then I wonder just how much people would achieve.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Like that, wouldn't that be such an amazing thing to add to a school curriculum?
Oh, it would be life changing. The one thing I
Yeah.
will say is A, I do work with children, and B, because the moms are like, can you work with my child? But what I also say to the moms and all women is, if you heal, you are the ripple. You give
Mhm.
everyone else permission to heal in your family. The mother holds the energy, and it gives everyone else permission to heal too. And even in partnership, I have women come and they say, well, my husband, blah, 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 blah. And I go, listen, we work on you, and he will rise to meet you there in the place of love.
Mhm. I believe that 100%. I always think back, even when I was younger, and, even with my mom, like it was almost like they weren't given permission to take care of themselves,
Never.
right? They just weren't. And then they do inadvertently teach that to you, that it's
Yeah.
not okay for you to take care of yourself, or it's selfish.
Right.
And,
Well,
you know,
sacrifice was a big theme of
thing.
our parents' generation.
Yeah, like martyrdom. If you're a martyr,
Yeah.
then, you're doing your job well. But I felt like that comes also with a lot of resentment
Oh, yeah.
that they're carrying inside, and they're not living their best life. And so I believe, to your point, even you switching gears in your career, how much you're teaching your own children that
Oh,
you don't have, even though the change may be difficult, and not the easiest path, but isn't it way harder to live in pain, to live in like
100%.
mental pain? So to teach that to your children at a young age, like to have them watch that, it's like, to your point, you're doing something for yourself, but you're really doing it even for all the people around you, just to show them that it's okay. And, hopefully they take that forward too, and they don't settle for living a life that is not something that is like resonating with their heart.
Yeah.
Do you work with men at
I
all?
do. I work with men that are called to do this with me. I work with men
Mhm.
that usually find me through their partners. When you're in a business, right? It's like, who am I like marketing to right now? It's like women in business, but there's
Mhm.
a part on my website that says, "Are you not a woman in business?" Click here. But yeah, I work with men, I work with women, I work with children, but they're all
Mhm.
brought to me through the women. You know, they're all
Yeah.
brought through
Makes
they're
sense.
all brought through the women who say, "Listen, this woman has helped me, and
Mhm.
if you're open to it, I know she can help you." And the men that I help, it's beautiful to witness their change, their transformations, and it's shown up in very interesting and unique ways. But
Mm.
yeah, I do. I mean, anybody that is spiritually open and at the point where they're
Mhm.
just like, what I'm doing isn't working, can you help me? And
Yeah.
very often, I'll say, no matter what, whether I work with people over time, whether it's like one and done, and there are people that have done that with me, I know that it gets them to the next place that they need to go. Something
Yeah.
has to move because I'm working energetically in a
Hmm.
multidimensional, multimodality way
Hmm.
that will move the needle.
Yeah. I mean, also from the time that you started pursuing this type of energy work, I'm sure that throughout all these years, you've even learned even more,
Oh,
right? And yeah. I mean, I can't even imagine
mm,
from the time that, I mean, when I come to see you next, I can't even imagine like all that time that has passed, like how much, how much more you
yeah.
probably evolved into the work because do you feel that you're intuitive?
Oh my
Do you feel like
gosh.
you're an intuitive
I'm so
person?
psychic.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
So,
interesting. Yeah, like it is.
yeah.
I have what
And that how
I
that
call, yeah. So I'll tell you how I think that is. Like I have what is called claircognizance, clear knowing. Like it just drops in like a download, if that makes sense. It's like,
it does.
I'm just like, "Diddle-diddle-diddle," and people will go, wow, oh, yeah, but. And I'll tell you what I'm really good at is
Mm.
seeing the big picture, like having the dots connect as to why we're having this experience. I'll give you a really
Yeah.
good example. A woman came
Please.
to me. So I work with people either in my studio in Woodbury on Long Island, and I work with people all over the world. Okay.
And virtual too?
Yeah, virtual, all over the world.
Yeah.
Virtual Zoom, through Zoom, all over the world.
Mhm.
Okay, Zoom all over the world. And a woman came to me and she said, I have breast cancer and they want to do a double mastectomy. Okay. And breasts right away are like nurturance, right? That's like, to your point, martyrdom, sacrifice. That's the point. Like, where are you? The martyr sacrifice, where are you not nurturing yourself? Okay. And I said that to her and she's like, well, I put everybody first. And I said, I like just got the download. I was like, what happened when you were little, like that? And she's like, oh, she grew up in Russia. She was on like a food bank, food line, like,
Mm.
really survival stuff. And they had to then wait and then give it to everyone at home, like the brothers and sisters. And then they emigrated to the US. And sure enough, here she is, living in that survival mode, still giving to everybody else. And as soon as we were able to like unhook from that old pattern, she happened to be here in my studio and I put tuning forks on her breast. We blew out the tumor. She went the next day for the biopsy, it was gone.
Wow. That is incredible.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And literally, I have a screen. I could share a screenshot. Like it literally, we
Yeah.
busted it up because
Yeah.
the only thing that physical is like that crystallized emotion. It's the density of the emotion or the issues in the tissues showing up, right? As dis is, right?
Mhm.
So when you say like, are you intuitive? Yeah. And I'm great at like connecting all the dots of the why we're, having this experience.
Mm.
And again, it just comes like, because we are human beings, we come
Mhm.
from light, we return to light, and we're in these dense bodies to have an experience of polarity. We're here to have an experience of contrast. She wouldn't learn self-nurturance unless her body was like, you know what, honey, you have to receive, you have to
Mhm.
be taken care of in this. And
Mhm.
she had to, and she did.
Yeah.
Right? It makes us pay attention. That is,
It hits you over the head, but it
yeah.
makes you pay attention.
Well,
Yeah.
the universe is like, are you paying attention? The tapping you on the
Mhm.
shoulder. Are you
Yeah.
paying attention? Are you paying attention? And then sometimes it's like, you got to pay attention now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And every single person has it. You said like some people may have perfect parents. Whether or not they have perfect parents, everybody has something in their life. Maybe the
Mhm.
parents were great, but then the siblings were tough, or the school
Yep.
situation, or the
Yep.
coach, or whatever it is. Every
Yep.
single person is here to learn, why is this happening for me to grow, as opposed to
Mhm.
why is this happening to me as a victim. And I don't
Yep.
mean to like spiritually bypass. We go, at least I do, go deep into what it is and why, so that that layer can be released, that that can be alchemized and integrated. And then we
Mhm.
get to this next point where we're like, okay, I'm at a better place of handling this. Ultimately, we're all here to open our hearts to love, love for ourselves, loves for other, to realize we're not separate, that we are all one from a level of
Mhm.
consciousness. And
Mhm.
again, most people aren't connected to that until something happens, because we come into
Yep.
these bodies and we have amnesia.
It's so I love that you said that because especially like you said, if you have perfect parents, but it doesn't mean that the outside world, everybody is a participant
Right,
in who you become. And so to that point, to give all the parents a break, it's not always about the parents. It's about, I think even personally, I feel it's even like what your soul was brought here to experience and
right,
to learn.
right.
But
It's
that
called a soul contract. Yes.
Yeah, right, and I think you told me that about that a long time ago
Yeah.
when we did our work together,
Yeah.
and I wonder, I'm curious to what you think about with traditional therapy, like, when I really resonate with what you were saying, that you did so much therapy, it wasn't doing anything, because I'm finally really believing that a lot of therapy, they the therapists are just rehashing old stuff over and over again.
Right.
And there's just something to now understand that maybe let's just move on to the present,
Right.
because reliving that old stuff over and over again, it just keeps it in your body. It
Right.
keeps it in your cell and your mind. Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, like my experience is there's no therapist that I've ever been to that said, okay, we're done here. Their
Yeah.
whole goal is to just keep going for years and years and years so that you just
Yep.
keep going. And
Yep.
while it's great, and maybe some people, like, again, this is not for everybody, but this was my
Mhm.
experience. But for
Mhm.
45, 50 minutes, like, we would talk and I would be grateful because it was space held for me, like I got it out. But I might have been like, but when the body can't tell the difference between what's real and imagined. So when you're talking about it, it's like what I feel is the equivalent of taking a bath in dirty water. Okay. You're
Mhm.
reactivating
Yeah.
everything,
That's a good one.
and they're listening, and right.
Mhm.
And they're, yeah, like you did have that happen, and that must have been really hard for you. But it didn't move anything for me. Like, and
Yep.
the people that I work with, I'm not meant to work with them forever. Like, that's not my goal. I work with people in
Mhm.
three ways: one off session, and they come when they need it, 6 weeks and 12 weeks. And then it's like, do we
Mhm.
decide, do we keep going, or do we, like, my goal is to get you to a better place. And I'm like,
Mhm.
great. Like, that's the goal for me. I'm not like, okay, you got to keep going and going and going. Like, no,
Mhm.
I'm moving the needle with you so that you
Yep.
come and we get to a very different level of functioning, whether,
Mhm.
to bring that money in, if you're a woman in business, that you are, able to bring in that. I worked with a woman who had for years and years and years been single. And then after, a time with me, 3 months with me, she's married. Like, we moved what was in her that was
Mhm.
attracting the emotionally unavailable man. We moved
Yep.
in her of what was coming in that was low self-esteem because she felt that way. When
Mhm.
she became happy within herself, confident within herself, like, I'm
Mhm.
good, right? Then the mirror comes in. Women in
Mhm.
business, like, there's something sitting at your income cap, right? You
Mhm.
move it, and then the money, the opportunities, the flow state comes, right?
Mhm.
Or even in the body, right? Like, okay, now this physical manifestation of this mind, body, spirit thing can move, and you feel just so much better. And that's how
Mhm.
I work. And that is the thing with therapy. You know, I just felt like it was a merry-go-round. I could
Mhm.
give you the laundry list. I could tell you, parents divorce. I lost my own child. I gave birth to
Mhm.
right? I could give you then I got divorced. Like, I could
Mhm.
give you the laundry list of it.
Mhm.
But I was like, all right, I don't feel better.
Mhm. I totally agree, and I I just feel like just like with medical advances, I think that the same thing with therapeutic, um,
Yeah,
advances. I feel like more and more I'm realizing that traditional therapy is not it's not really the model isn't created for you to ever end it to ever end.
yeah,
And that now with new approaches, especially approaches like your own, I personally feel it's a better way to go
yeah,
because I think that this life, we're not here forever. So if we do have a soul contract and we want to fulfill it, then we do need to be working with people who also want that for us,
yeah,
that are really like have that, that real excitement about getting a person through
yeah,
those blocks and on to the next. And I don't think it would mean that a person, they would maybe do the 6 weeks with you, but then maybe something else would come up that they would need to address. But maybe at that point, it could be their career, or maybe the
right,
next thing, it could be
yeah,
like personally, when we worked together, it was relationship.
right,
And, but it was what you did was, I thought, miraculous because in a really short period of time, you helped me. I think what you did was you helped me realize that it wasn't really about the relationship. It was more about the relationship to, yourself. And I remember you saying something that was so profound to me that I remember it to this day. You said that that person was your soulmate because you were supposed to, it was one of your soulmates. It was somebody that came into your life that was supposed to teach you a lesson, and you were supposed to teach them a lesson, and then it was supposed to move on. So, I thought that that was very, I don't know, I just learned so much from that even though a relationship may even not affect you in a good way, it could also propel you to go on to a real path of learning because you were brought together for a reason in this lifetime, in this story. And I just loved that take on it that you had given me because I really felt, and then you did that, which I thought was beautiful. It was a string, and then you broke the string, and
yeah.
it was just like so profound and so healing, and it really helped to like move past that. But that understanding that, even if something in your life maybe isn't ideal, at that point, if you can take a lesson from it, or also know that that person was, or that thing was supposed to happen to you, maybe even an illness to bring you onto your higher level of living and understanding yourself and other people, then, that's I think a really great way of looking at it, and I love that part of the work that you did with me as well.
Oh,
So, yeah, I mean, I appreciate you, and I actually really can't wait to, like, work with you again, but I also really wanted for everybody else to really know about you because I don't know, I think if Simply Vita is going to do anything this podcast, I just want it to really introduce people to these great people like yourself who are doing wonderful things and then maybe they don't really know about this type of
yeah.
healing. I don't even know how I came upon you. I don't even remember.
I
But,
don't either. I don't.
I have no idea.
I
I
know.
literally
And
have
again, that's a
no.
soul contract, right? It's like
Yes.
we are brought to the people and places where we are meant to be. And
Yes.
sometimes the most uncomfortable situations
Mhm.
are the greatest teacher. Like, from the grit comes the pearl,
For sure.
right?
For
From the
sure.
pressure comes the diamond. And
Yes.
those things are are why we're here. And
Yeah.
yeah, what I did with
S
you is called cord cutting.
Cord cutting.
Yes, we
Yes.
cut
Yeah.
energetic cords. So
Yeah.
cords of love can never be broken, but those
Yes.
cords that have like those hooks in us that
Yes.
we are just really can't move on,
Yeah.
those cords need to be cut. And I'm just so
Mhm.
glad it was so profound for you.
It was because I think it made me realize, like, it wasn't even love. It was something that, I think certain people, they cause a pain in you because it's something that you need to learn about yourself.
Well, what I always
So
say
like
is the relationship isn't the other person. It's usually a walk-in for one of our parents. So there's some similarity in that relationship that feels familiar in how love
mhm.
was.
Yes.
And we're trying to finish the stress response. We're trying
Yep.
to play it out. Okay, then if this
Yes.
person can love me the way I needed, and maybe enter mom or dad, then
Yep.
I am XYZ. So I always say to people, that person isn't even that person. That person's a walk in for
Yep.
our parent that we were trying to earn love from. And once that whole thing then collapses, then we're
It makes
free.
sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense, and I think it even carries on even into the speaking of a workplace and women in business. I think that what I've learned over my lifetime is it even can come out. I mean, no, I'm sorry, I'm watching the time. We have like around 10 more
That's
minutes.
okay.
I'm gonna, yeah. I can't stop talking. I would be able to speak to you about this stuff forever because you have so much to teach us.
Oh,
I I think it also can come out in workplace. I think especially I always worked in a very female-based work
right.
environment, and I remember, like, going back, you really can, like, recreate these situations that, like, say, with your mother,
Right.
with the women that you're working with, and it's like, when I look back on all the situations and you really think about it, like, how this type of work that you do can help people really recognize, like, is it that person? Like, are these people, are you trying to, like you said, heal the relationship that needed to be healed with this person who's just your boss? This person who is
Yeah.
just your coworker, or, especially when it comes to authority figures. I
Yeah.
think that
Always.
it would be you know, so helpful. I have a million things that I wanted to ask you, but I know we're cut on time because I screwed up today and started really late. But I wanted to just touch on the work that you do with women in fertility
Yeah.
because I think that's fascinating, and I
Yeah.
think that that is something that a lot of women, would really be interested in knowing about.
Yeah, so thank you. This is wild. I started working with women with this unexplained infertility, and I realized with all of the women, there was one minor polarity that was playing out in all of them. And it was this: surrender and control. Every single woman that struggles with this is like, the doctor's like, there's really no reason why you shouldn't be able to get pregnant, right? That's the unexplained
Mhm.
infertility. They were trying to masculine their way into the most feminine of processes. Feminine is receiving, creation, flow, emotion, intuition. Masculine is doing, moving the ball down the field, logic, right? And it's
Mhm.
and that is was playing out in some area of their life. And then as soon as it came to getting pregnant, that's when the universe was like, all right, are you ready to pay attention to this?
Mhm.
And I was working with my friend who's my client, who is a mentor. Her name's Erica. She's has a huge Kundalini following on Instagram. She has a big app, and I'm featured on her app for a lot of things. And I was
What's her
working.
full What's her full
It's
thing, Erica?
at InCale XCale on Instagram. Her name's Erica
Okay,
Polsinelli, and we did a whole
we can add it.
yeah, we can add it. We did a whole podcast about it. We could put the podcast link too, where we
Mhm.
really go in depth about how I helped her, and how while I was helping her, a whole program got downloaded to me. This is in my dreams. Every night I was getting information. This is what you need to do. This is what it is. This is it, blah, blah, blah. And I would wake up and I would write and I would record and I was like, and I've been working like with women and they get pregnant. It's like, what
Amazing.
is the block that's preventing you from, and again, whatever the needle is, like 2 women in my first cohort just had babies. Yeah, like just really, there's a mind, body, spirit. This is what their soul, the
Mm-hmm.
curriculum that their soul came in to learn around.
Mm-hmm.
How do I surrender? Because here's the reality. When you have kids, there is no bigger surrender. It's how you think
Mm-hmm.
it's going to go. It doesn't go that way. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No way
Yeah.
whatsoever. There's just,
Yeah.
so there is this need to surrender to this way of being, which is pregnancy, getting pregnant, and not controlling the outcome that's
Mm-hmm.
preparing these women for when the baby comes. You really have to surrender.
Yeah. That makes so much sense, especially when you're speaking of the masculine and the feminine. That maybe
Hmm.
when you're thinking about getting pregnant, that worker like masculine energy comes in, and that's exactly what you don't need.
Right.
I
That's
never
not,
even thought of it that way.
yeah, that
Like
is
you
not,
need the receiving feminine energy to come.
yeah.
And working women, because women are so career orientated now. That
And
could
they're
actually,
masculine. Yes.
yeah, like that can really, that makes a lot of sense because, so much more infertility, like problems with women who are career women.
Right.
I'm sure it's with everybody, but like that's, starting late, going,
Yes.
having your career, like trying to have a
Yeah.
baby in later times. And
Yeah.
you built up all that like strong masculine energy because you had to in the workforce. Like
Exactly.
that would make a
And it's
lot of
and it's a
sense.
whole different orientation to being a mother, to getting pregnant, to being receptive, to surrender, to, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's exactly how that was what again got downloaded, right? That was the intuition part, and this is the connect the dots with these women, and
Yeah.
when it moves, it moves.
And what an amazing thing to have that download and then to put it into work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's an incredible thing to be of service and to show up and what, in all the ways. Yeah.
Yeah. When I watch anybody that I know transfer their life over into what they're meant to be doing, it just fills my heart with so much joy. Like I think it's like the most, I actually get like filled, my heart gets so filled because I think it's such like how lucky that in this time around that you were able to have the courage to find what you're meant to be doing
Well, I
and
see that
to
with you in this podcast
thank you.
and with
Thanks. I'm trying. I'm working on
you're
it.
doing
Yeah,
it and
yeah.
you do it with the
Yeah.
beauty you make and how you show
Oh,
up in the world. So,
thank you. Also, I wanted to ask you something because I like to ask everybody before we end. And I'm so grateful for you for taking the time to get on with me today because I know that you have another appointment in like 2 minutes. What is Marci Baron doing every day? I know you do for a lot for other people or at all that brings you joy, that brings you the most peace. Like what is it, some one practice that you're doing that's bringing you happiness?
I'm going to tell you, it is being with my dog.
Nice. I totally understand that.
It's like the morning kisses and the love and the
Yeah.
snuggles, and I
So
start
good.
my day with that presence of
Mhm.
beauty and love and connection and beautiful
Oh, I
tail
love that.
wagging, and just, like I'm an empty
I love
nester now, and it's my kids are going to be coming home this summer, but like, most of the time now it's like a very different way of being, but that's
Yeah.
with her. And then I go and I have my coffee and we like have our little morning.
Yeah.
It is just pure love. She's only
I love
5,
that.
like, it's just pure unconditional love. It really is just, it's just so pure.
Yeah, I do. I really, really do. And it's almost like that's what their soul contract was
Oh,
was to give us this unconditional, like just it's so delicious, their love.
yeah.
I have to just say one more thing before and we're gonna end right now. But I have to tell you, because I've known you for a long time. We started a long time ago,
Yeah.
and this is completely superficial, but I know it has a lot to do with the things that you're doing and that you've learned. You look like 20 years younger than you did when we met.
Thank you. I
It's
received
like
that.
it's just yeah, it is just almost like what you're doing and your the glow and I mean, you've
Oh,
actually reversed.
thank
And
you.
not that you it wasn't great then, but it's just like it's such a testament to like when you're doing your life's work, when you're doing what you're meant to be doing and you're in alignment,
Mhm.
like how it just affects everything, right? And that, that's super because I am a skincare creator,
Yes.
so I had to like bring that I had to
Thank
bring that part
you.
up.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. It is
Yeah, you're welcome.
totally, I believe when you're happy, I believe when you're in alignment, I believe you could bring
Yes.
more light into your light body. And there is
Yep.
this energy of magnetism and resonance and, you know, in
Joy.
joy inside and outside. Eating healthy food. Food
Yep.
is really I
Energy.
energy. I didn't realize
Mhm.
how inflamed I was and really bringing that inflammation down. And, but, at 56 years old, like really just eating well, living well. I am a sun worshiper, which I know a lot of people would say, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, sun is life. Like, I feel like it brings
Mhm.
my mitochondria light and activates me in a way that I
Mhm.
feel happy and good. And I feel like that is the glow up, you know?
Mhm. No, I agree. I know there's a lot of controversy about sun, but it is sun is energy, and when we have it, we do feel good, and I think that it's almost like medicine.
Every
But
living being
yeah.
seeks sun, okay? Plants,
Yeah.
animals, people. Sun is life. What I've heard,
Yeah.
and it's an interesting thought, and we could continue, and listeners, it's the food that we eat, the chemicals that we put in our body, and the chemicals that we put on our body is what has created this skin cancer that
Yeah.
was never around. If you look at skin cancer and the apparently like the incidence of it really coincided with chemicals in and chemicals on the body.
I agree. That's why I created Della Vita, the skincare. That's because I just knew intuitively that what we were putting onto our skin was really
Yeah.
affecting, and the skin's our biggest organ.
Yeah,
So
and it
whatever you
affects
put
the
on it
endocrine
absorbs.
system. I mean, people that are using
Absolutely.
these Glade plugins and scented garbage
Yep.
bags and artificial
Yep.
fragrance, our
Yep.
immune systems, our endocrine systems cannot handle it. So, what a beautiful
Yeah.
thing to witness you doing that and
Yeah.
showing up.
I feel like that's my
It
gift.
is your
That's
gift.
my
Yeah.
yeah, like that's my gift to the world. Like I'm always like, if I can do anything, I can just get women to stop putting anything artificial onto their skin,
You mix in the
which would help.
lotions and the potions.
Yeah. I have a whole like like a little factory that I do.
Yay!
But yeah, I love it. I love it. It's like that's my passion and this. But Marcy, I'm gonna let you go. I don't want
Okay.
to, but I know you have to jump off. But
Yes.
please let everybody know,
Yes.
and we're gonna put it in the show notes.
Yes.
Please,
So
your
Instagram is the place where I mostly hang out. It's at Marci Baron, MarciBaron. And then my website is marcibaronclears.com. And
it's a great website.
thank you.
Yeah,
And then the EFT tapping is there. I'll send you the direct link to get that too. So if
please.
everybody wants it, that's free. And thank you for inviting me. I adore you.
I adore you and thank you so much. This was amazing. I would love to speak to you again on this. We can
Yeah,
like go
we'll do
on
a
to another
part two.
topic.
Okay.
Yeah, but all Marcy's show notes are going to be, all her information is going to be in the show notes. And thank you, thank you, thank you for Marci Baron to coming here and blessing her with her presence. Please, please find her because
Oh,
she will heal your life. I promise you.
thank you, my love.
Marcy, I love you.
I love you too. Talk soon.
Okay, talk soon.
Bye. Bye.